Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Betweenplays Stock Market Strategies. Today we have a pretty interesting show. We have Crypto Alex over here today. Hey, Alex, how you doing, man?
Amazing, Al.
And we have Tech with Sandeep. Sandeep Panazar, how you doing, man?
Doing awesome.
So yeah, today our show is pretty cool because we're going to be talking about trust, right? Because trust in tech, trust in crypto. I think it's a really important topic because when I was talking to Alex, a few times about this, he's bringing up crypto and trust seemed to come down to the base of it. And then with you, Sandeep, we were talking about, the networks and stuff like that, and trust seemed to come out. And then you were saying, yeah, there's this thing about zero trust. And let me just go and read some stuff here that you were sharing with myself that I like for people to just for reflect on here. So let me just do that here. Let's just share this screen. All right. So let's just take a look at this trust, the definition of trust over here. All right. So according to Oxford Languages, trust, a firm belief in the reliability, truth, ability, or strength of someone or something. That's as a noun. Law, an arrangement whereby a person, a trustee, holds property as its nominal owner for the good of one or more beneficiaries. Um, a belief, basically, so believing in the reliability, truth, ability, or strength of. So allow credit to, like, because all persons are for the trust sellers. So we have that in trust over here. And then with confidence, we have the feeling or belief that one can rely on someone or something. So a firm trust. The state of feeling certain about the truth of something, a feeling of self assurance arising from one's appreciation of one's own ability or qualities. So basically, what we have here is trust, confidence, and together it looks like it's going to be the basis of everything. And that zero trust thing, Sandeep, can you explain a little bit of what does that mean in the technology sector, TME and stuff like that?
Sure. So there's something, I guess zero trust really involves security and involves how the networks speak to each other and why one network would trust another network over another. So for instance, if you have a bunch of different systems or a bunch of different networks that are working together, then they have to trust or have confidence in each other. And zero trust is about ensuring that they're working the same way, that they meet the same protocols, and that they meet the same standards, such that when they two do come together, there's not a question. There's no question of trust. It's implicit. Therefore, I can pass data and information to you. You can pass data and information to me, and so on, so forth, and back and forth.
Okay, so no issues. So basically, no issues of trust. So meaning like the trust is there. So that's why zero trust. So it's not like, oh, zero trust, we don't trust. It's meaning like we don't question it at all.
Exactly.
Like
It's unquestionable. It's unquestionable. It's
unquestionable.
implicit. It's there from end to end. It's a little bit, and Alex can probably speak to this a bit as well too. But it's a little bit like mining, right? You've got all your miners, you got all your servers. They're all talking to each other. They're all going back to whatever blockchain it is that they're writing to, right?
Yeah.
There's an implicit trust in there. So that's why the system works. The system works in that manner. Now, if there is a bad actor or a bad member that breaks that trust, then you have challenges. So you have to put in controls and control systems to ensure that if the trust is broken, that you exclude them from whatever the system is or whatever the network is.
So Alex, would you agree with Sandeep that trust is like of the utmost importance? Trust, confidence.
100%. I mean, I think you have to go back to the foundation of the blockchain, which is the first one, which was Bitcoin, was created because the lack of trust in the system. And so the foundation, the beginning of cryptocurrency is trust. So 100%. And that the whole point of it was to create a system where people won't live through what they lived through in 2008 with the market crash. And that's why there was the open ledger, and it was seen by everyone, so that as an open book, here, I'm not hiding anything. You can look. The transaction was made here, 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 and here. Nobody can touch it. Nobody can move it. There's no insider information or no insider people that can go and change the books while no one is looking. So yeah, 100% trust is everything.
Okay, so Sandeep, basically, trust is everything. That I see a problem here. I see a problem here. Not too long ago, we've spoken about the Rogers outage. All right,
Yep.
and this can happen to everyone. So I'm not just pointing out just that it happened. So that's why I'm just naming it. But this can happen to anyone. Now, are we at the point in technology right now where all technology is protected? Like, is redundancy across the board for everyone, or have a failover for everyone that continues to allow what we expect to have trust in and confidence in to exist at this moment, or will we be gaining that in time?
So here's the thing, right? So if you're talking about that incident, right, the trust has been broken, period, right? But up until that incident, and even though there was another outage, probably a year out, I think, earlier as well too.
Yes, there was. Yes, there was one a year
Yeah,
earlier.
there was a much shorter one, right? I mean, even that did not feign the trust of the people in their providers, because trust, as I said, it's implicit. We by nature trust other people, we trust companies, we trust everything until that trust is broken. You know, Alex said something interesting at the when we were off prior to starting this, which is that, you know, it takes you 3 seconds to break trust, but it takes you years to earn it. But by nature, we are trusting of people, we're trusting of networks, we're trusting of companies, because we assume, right, we make that assumption that these companies are going to provide for us because we're paying for a particular service. Now, you know, people trusted Bernie Madoff, right? People trusted Rogers. People trusted Marvel. People trusted all of these organizations, which eventually did collapse because they dropped the trust. So trust is like a football. You carry it with you, but once you fumble the ball, it's okay if you fumble and you catch, but if you fumble the ball and you give it to the other side, that's it. You're done.
Yeah.
And that's what can cause the collapse of network systems, companies, technology.
Yeah, it's almost like you trust your car, it's always working. And then one morning you wake up and it's not starting. And then it's not starting the week after, or 2 or 3 weeks or 4 weeks. Then you're like, oh my God, I can't rely on this vehicle anymore to get to work because I don't know when it's going to work and not work. Therefore, you get rid of your vehicle if you have the money to do so in order to pick up a brand new one, because now you have your warranties, your CAA, you want all that backup in order to make sure you get to work on time and you don't, get your kids to school on time and everything. So it's like the same thing when it comes to all of these network carriers, or anything that's going to be involved in digital technology, whether Internet of Things and in the crypto space, right? Because like look at right now, we have this thing going on with Ethereum, right? We have the Ethereum merge coming up. All right, Alex and I was talking about that recently,
Tomorrow.
and there's going to be splintering, all right, with the Ethereum merge.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's possible that with the NFTs, they're going to be there's going to be duplicates, all right, but it's going to be one's going to be proof of work and proof of stake. But naturally, who's going to stop you from getting rid of the proof of work? It's going to be those exchanges that says, oh, we will not share the proof of works. But when you have a competitor that doesn't own a ton of NFTs, let's just say, like those exchanges that says, oh, we won't share the proof of work. So you're breaking trust now in a sense. If competitors say, well, why? We'll share it. We don't care. We'll share the proof of work. So now you have more than one, right? Also, like, it comes down to trust once again. So this whole thing of trust is very serious, and confidence. Trust and confidence is extremely serious in the tech world. Correct me if I'm wrong. What I'm trying to say is this: it wasn't that important 15 years ago as it is today and in the future. So for both of you.
Yeah, absolutely. But concerning the Ethereum thing, I mean, tomorrow it's everything to do with trust, because it's such a new market. and people are so scared of what's going to happen because there were crashes in the past, and now we're coming up with another type of a system that's going to be maybe taking over Bitcoin, and with all the advantages that it can have, and it has to go 100% correctly. It can't go 99%, because what they're doing is they're trying to build up, and they're trying to keep the trust. Because if they lose that 1% and there's something that goes wrong, I mean, the whole market can collapse. It's that important. So and you're looking at the prices these last few days. I find it interesting coming up to the merge, as you said, Sandeep. It's tomorrow. It's the Ethereum merge, but you look at the price of Bitcoin, it's going up more than Ethereum. So is there, people are having more trust, right? They're putting money possibly more into Bitcoin because they're scared of what might happen with Ethereum tomorrow. So yeah, so we're very emotional beings, right? Humans. And trust is the most important thing. It's what keeps us together.
So Sandeep, if the networks go down, can we still exchange cryptocurrency?
Well, you know, with crypto, it's different, right? It's not like a Rogers or Verizon where it's one single network that's controlled through a central point, right? It's decentralized, which means that there's multiple networks that are working together. So when you say if networks go down, have to talk about all of the networks that would be going down at the same time, simultaneous, which be a massive attack on the entire system, right? So that's like the internet going out completely. Then yeah, of course, then there's going to be no way to exchange anything. But if, you know, let's say Alex's network goes down or Sandeep's network goes down, but Albert's network is still up, you can still do stuff because you're going to be talking to Nadia's network and Stacy's network and etc. We're just two pieces that connect together to create or that contribute to the entire network, right? That's how that works. Whereas if you are Rogers or a cellular provider or a wireless carrier and you go down, you're done. I mean, that's the entire network. It's one controlled, centralized network. Now, we can dive into that a little bit because, you know, okay, if you've got towers in Quebec that went down, then only Quebec is out. If you've got towers in Montana that went down, then Montana is out. But the rest of the network can still be up. So it's go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
So what I was trying to say is the question is more complicated than the way you asked it, right? Okay. You can have pieces of network go down and still have the other people being serviced. You can have an entire network outage like Rogers had, where there was a bad, router update, which then propagated and destroyed everything for them for a very significant period of time. And then you can have just network providers next to each other that have their own separate networks where one provider goes down, but the other one stays up, right? So there's multiple layers of how networks and things connect to each other.
Okay. So basically, did you have a question now? It looked like.
Well, I just wanted to add on. That's the most important thing of a blockchain and cryptocurrency is exactly that. It's to take away the because here's the thing, right? There's a problem. You need the cryptocurrency, not cryptocurrency, but the blockchain technology is very important, because what happens is that if ever there's a company itself that goes kaput, at least there's other ways to go around it. I think companies are important though, because we've seen it in DeFi, and when something is too how should I say uncentralized, there can be some attacks that are done on the system, on the network, and we sort of see it when we buy things from Amazon or whatnot, or some big companies. Sometimes it's hard to actually talk to a human being. Let's say you have compared to like a mom and pop shop, like, oh, listen, I have problems with this, can you do something for me? So imagine that, but 100 times bigger, because there's literally no one to talk to, right? In a decentralized system. Well, that was my 2 cents about that.
So my question is, I guess it goes back to Sandeep. My question is, with what you gave as an example, like Alex having a network, you having a network, and I having a network. So if both your networks, let's say my network goes down, both your networks are working, I cannot transact, because if my network is down, I cannot transact because like let's say if everything comes, down to it, that all of these cards and all this stuff is now only on our phones, let's just say my network's down. I can't transact because with Rogers, when Rogers went down, the network went down for Interact. I couldn't use my Interact cards, right? So you guys would still be able to transact on your networks, but unless my company has like what we were talking about, redundancy or failover, like, is that correct? I would not be able to buy. Like if I
Well,
drove 3 hours away to buy something at a specific store, whatever, I would be screwed, right?
well, the point here is exactly that. It's redundancy and failover, right? So your network is down, but Alex and mine are up. So you don't have to transact on your network. You can come to our networks. That's the whole point. You switch over.
So redundancy and failover is an absolute necessity for all companies now.
Absolutely. It's a necessity for all companies. It's a necessity for all businesses. I think that if you are a human consumer, um, then it may not be as necessary for you unless you are a work from homer, which guess what, we all are these days, or at least hybrid mode. And so the thing that's really important here is to ensure that you have the ability to deliver services, or your work product, to whether it's your company, whether it is delivering a service or selling something, or even to consume something, right? Because then on the other end, they have to ensure that their network is up. So the redundancy and failover, or what we were talking about the last couple of shows, is business continuity, is incredibly important. If you are just, me and my dad at home and retired and hanging out and watching TV or watching the Formula One like we did this weekend or something like that, it's less important. Yeah, okay, if your service goes out, it's going to suck. You're not going to be happy about it. But really, how critical is that for you? Because the people who are delivering the service, which are the networks, have managed to maintain and keep their services up, right? It's now down to the end service provider. And so, one of the things I was gonna also add is, you had said previously was, is this something a new concept that's come along? It's not a new concept. This has been here since the dawn of time, right? You can go back to caveman days. It's all the exact same thing, right? There are three pieces to the puzzle. There's truth, trust, respect, and then love. So what you want to do is you want to end up loving your product and loving your service, and you can't do that unless you respect it. And if you don't trust it, there's no respect. Those are three chains. It's everything that you can possibly need and want and it's what you need in a relationship. It's what you need in your service provider. It's what you need in your company. And that's the trifecta. That's the best thing that you possibly do.
Okay, so basically, from the dawn of time, trust is a central issue. Confidence. Now,
It's trust, respect, and love, right?
okay, yeah.
To
So
love the end result, you have to respect what is being done, and the only way you can respect it is if you trust it.
okay,
We can also talking about the queen, that's monarchy, right? You have to trust, the trust in the king or the queen back in the day. And you have to respect them, and you have to sort of love them to follow them as a leader. And
okay,
with the money stuff, that's why you have the face on the coin, right? So you
yeah,
have to trust, respect it. This is the king's or the queen's money.
yeah. So basically, done are the days where we can just say, internet's down. It'll be up whenever it's up. Those days are gone. Like, if we're gonna move into crypto, like
Yeah.
if we're going to move into crypto, if we're going to move into a digital dollar age, which is the answer to, like, if we follow the trend, like you're saying, the beginning, dawn of time, whatever. If you go through history, bartering, how many goats and cows for this, whatever, to a coin system, to all this, and then a gold system to a coin system, it always got lighter and lighter and lighter because we want the transfer to be more efficient, quick. We live in a global environment now. We can buy things from one country. Trade is super important. So digitization is the answer. Therefore, done are the days where we can say, internet's down. Oh, I'll figure out something. Let's go ride our bikes outside. Those days are gone. Those days are gone in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I just wanted to add something quickly, just before getting on. I was actually seeing some emails of friends that are writing stuff, and they were saying how the subway system here, that people are having trouble. You know, we live in area of Montreal, so we have North Shore, South Shore, and the island, like Manhattan, let's say, and the other around. And the problem is, you know, how do we pay? How do we sorry about that.
Transact.
Yeah, how do we transact, you know, between people from the South Shore to the Montreal, and then there's who pays more, and there's problems with that. And then people are saying, are we going to end up like in Sweden and everything like that, where we have to trust that people are going to pay, and we don't actually check if people are actually paying? Well, how far can a system like that? How long can a system like that last?
Well, I don't think it can last a long time. That brings me to to something that I really want to talk to both of you about. I just saw this whole thing. This person that was being interviewed. I think we didn't talk about this pre-show, so I'm sort of like just dropping it on you both. But I saw this interview with a person, and I don't remember if they were in what country they're in, but I know it's in one of the Africa. It was on the continent of Africa. It's in one of the countries there. And this person was stating, and I will put the short that I saw on this up here, that with China, it's easy to borrow from them because of the fact that they're allowed kickbacks. All right. Whereas with the United States, England, and the colonies, kickbacks are illegal. So from borrowing from China, it's very easy because of the kickbacks. Now, this person was saying that the money is not transferred through banks. In US dollars, the money is dropped off in like cargoes, basically. Where the hell is this money coming from? Is it like you know how we always try to stop, like the RCMP or FBI and all, try to stop fraud, right? So counterfeiting money. What stops other countries, like other big, you know, global economic powers and military powers, from doing that, counterfeiting, and then dropping it off in other countries to transact? And then this money just ends up going global, right? So, I mean, we are in a serious state where we have like the BRICS trying to take on the American dollar. Money can be printed from other global powers at this moment. Who the hell is going to stop them, right? I think that cryptocurrency is becoming way more needed, or a digital dollar is way more needed, where all transactions are going to be verified across the board. And then we have you, Sandeep, where it comes into technology of redundancy, failover, confidence, trust. We're there. We are there. What do you guys think on that?
Well, yeah, 100%. I mean, by the way, during the Second World War, one of the things that the Germans did, they counterfeited and dumped a whole bunch of British pounds to try to destroy their economy. So that's the first step before.
What did I tell you? What did I say? What did I say? Wait, hold on.
So yeah, so I mean,
absolutely crazy. I have.
Yeah.
Hold on a second here. Hold on. Are you kidding me? No.
Yeah, 100%.
Listen, seriously. What you're telling me is what exactly you always say, Al. You say that history doesn't repeat.
It rhymes.
It rhymes.
Yeah.
So what the fuck? Right? Okay, come on, guys. Are you kidding me? I just see this thing going on here where they're talking about that. And that's exactly what's going to happen. If we have too much American dollars going out, you're going to have hyperinflation eventually. There's no way of countering another economic and military power of that, which brings a desperate calling for a digitization and networks that will never go down. Go ahead with this World War II. I can't like.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Usually before a big war, shooting war, there's economic war. So that's part of an economic war. One of the methods that they use, and through cryptology, through crypto money, that's one way that you can go around it. Exactly like you just said, you can protect yourself.
So we're there.
Yourself and the governments as well. That's what's crazy, right? So the beginning of the cryptocurrency was to protect the individual, and now we're at the stage of the states trying to protect themselves. Look what happened to Russia recently, right? You sent me a link to Albert about them trying to do transactions with cryptocurrency because they're out of the SWIFT system.
Bitcoin, correct. They are attempting to do transactions to bypass the whole SWIFT system in order to, yes. And look, they're thinking Bitcoin. They're going to be doing that. So,
well, you need
wow.
a pretty good system, right? To that's where Sandeep comes in, right? Yeah, I mean, I don't know how they're going to be able to make this work if there's Russia, but then after that, China. If all these big countries get into it, can the system hold it, right?
So that's funny because it actually does fall on Sandeep because it's his technology. In the end, Sandeep, your technology, networking, 5G, like telecommunications, that is the baseline.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Of everything of the future.
Yeah. The infrastructure. So what you need to get anything done at these days is you need a baseline infrastructure, right? Whatever that infrastructure is going to be. Then you need to harden it. So that hardening it means secure it. And then you need to come up with what we call in the industry high availability, which is, or redundancy, which will swap a like for like service, right? Failover is fine if you want to just keep basic services up, like text messaging, 911, you know.
No, it's not. You can't do that. I think that those days are gone. I think that 80s, 90s, maybe early 2000s.
No, I think those days, that's the point where we're at right now, where we've got network providers that are cutting deals with satellite companies, lower third bidding platform cells, etc. And that's where the failover piece comes in. I think the redundancy is like, either you build two networks and you just leave one dormant, which it doesn't do anything until there's a problem. And this is the challenge. The challenge is, like, think of yourself at home. I have a cable connection coming into my house. So I've got great internet. I've got a DSL connection coming into my house also. And I use that for failover. So let's say I've got, 100 meg connection on my cable, but on my DSL, I've got, a 10 meg connection. I just want to use it for failover because I want to be able to do some stuff. It's going to be a lot slower. It's going to be a little bit hacky. You might have more jitter, packet loss, latency, etc., compared to a cable, but you're still going to have your services up. It's just going to work slower. It's not going to be the same thing. Whereas if I have cable from, let's say, Videotron and cable from Rogers, it's two different companies that are offering the same service, and it's 100 meg and 100 meg on both pipes. Then if one goes down, then I just cut over to the other one and I still have the exact same quality of service. Now, the challenge that you have here is you're paying for two connections. Let's assume that they're the same price, right? So they're both $100 a month. So you're paying $200 a month, but you're only using one. So that's where it becomes difficult to justify the cost to keep one extra connection up just for a failover or for redundancy, which is why the failover connection is usually a lot cheaper, which is why the failover connection is not just less expensive, but also the quality of the service you're going to get on your failover connection is not necessarily the same. However, there are some organizations, which there's technology out there like SD-WAN that allows you to do this, where you can buy two connections, have one as your primary, but while the other one is idle-ish, you can bond them together. And instead of having 100 meg, it's 200 megs. Or instead of doing that, you can get two 50 meg connections. You'll have 100 meg. And then that will allow you to get the same quality of service that you're looking for. But then when one pipe goes down, your quality of service drops to half, basically, or not your quality of service, but your capacity drops to half. So there's multiple ways to deal with it and manage it. And I'm just talking about for you at home or you at the show, right? Because you need to be up, we need to be able to stream, we need to be able to do these interviews, etc. And so that's kind of the pieces that come together with the network. Now, as you scale that up and you go to say the Verizon's, AT&T's, T-Mobile's, Deutsche Telecoms of the world that are delivering services, then they have to decide, okay, what am I going to do? Am I going to build a completely parallel network? This one just cost me multi-billions of dollars, so I'm not going to build another multi-billion-dollar network just for failover, or am I going to cut a deal with an alternate provider, say like a satellite company, but it's going to cost me less to have that sitting there dormant just for failover, but at least critical services are going to stay up. And that's what's going on right now. And I'm very happy to see that that's going out, because these companies are sitting there going, it's not just about trust. Yeah, you trust us, but we want you to love us. So how are you going to get you from trust to love? We're going to get you to respect us. And I respect them because they are now coming up with at least some sort of failover technologies or failover services that will bump off of their network onto other networks in case there is a major outage. And that's critical.
Okay.
I have a question for you, because the picture in the back is the place I have up north, and let me tell you, we wouldn't be able to have this conversation up there. The internet's pretty horrible. So I tried, installing a company, which I won't name, the dish, and it didn't really work because of XYZ reason, right?
Sure.
Trees and whatnot. You have to go really high up, and here in Canada we have some snow, so it's not like it's in Arizona and whatnot. But I like the idea that you can get internet anywhere. Do you think it's possible eventually that now, as you say, with cell phones, is like that company with Verizon, you can have YouTube, right? Right, as you were saying to us before, it's not strong enough. Can it happen one day that if they send enough satellites up there, they keep on going that way? Is there a way for, let's say, Starlink, to literally take over the 5G market? Is it physically strong enough?
Well, today, no. But eventually the technology will get better, and eventually capacities will get better. I mean, there's a general mandate where everyone needs to have access to the internet and needs to have access to information and communications. The internet is a critical service at this point, or an essential service, and it's something that everyone needs. Most governments, I know Canada and the US, have mandated that. They've got rural broadband plays that are going out now. They're offering subsidies to companies who can go out and entrench. The challenge that you have is that when it comes to infrastructure, it is literally infrastructure. So we're talking about physical cables, we're talking about physical fiber, we're talking about wires, we're talking about that kind of stuff that costs money. And so areas like perhaps in your cottage where it's not been done, there's two reasons there. There's the positive side, which is the the negative side, where we haven't gotten to that point yet because it's not cost effective for us as an organization to actually lay down all the pipe for 1 or 10 or 15 customers, because we're never going to make that money back and recoup that back. So there's that piece of it. But then on the other side, right, when I go to a cottage, I don't want internet. I don't want access to anything. I want to just be able to be by myself, right? The idea that I can be like, listen, when they first started internet on planes, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this because my boss is going to be on me all the time while I'm flying for 6 hours. Like a 6-hour flight from Montreal to Vancouver, or 5.5-hour flight from Montreal to Vancouver, I can be at peace. I don't have to worry about anything. I can just watch my movie. I can sleep, because otherwise there's no opportunity to disconnect. So connected everything, connect everywhere, connect anything, right? I think it's important for devices and to have access to them. But now you got to flip that over and say, how do we disconnect? Right. When do we disconnect, and why do we disconnect? Right. Because if you're going up to your cottage to disconnect and then you're going, I have no internet, I have no access to the news, I have no access to information, then there's probably an internal disconnect there as well too.
So that brings me to a whole bunch of questions. So basically, for both of you, whoever wants to answer, just feel free to answer this. So now on the cottage issue, like you were what you're saying, Sandeep, and what you're saying, Al, you're both bringing up two great points, almost opposite polar points, or in line with each other. But the thing is that the more the future goes on, the more robotics comes into play, the more people are leaving central city hubs to go live in natured areas, and will depend on internet connection in order to work from home, so that way they don't need to live in a city anymore. I know my wife loves looking at those international you go moving somewhere else in the world, and then these people are all working on their computers. I don't need to live in the States. I don't need to live in Canada. I'm going to go live in Germany. I got a job in the States, but everything's done on the internet, or down south, and everything's done on the internet, and they're working. They haven't changed their jobs. They've probably been at their jobs for 15 to 20 years. They're just moving across the planet. So, moving to a cottage somewhere that's 4 hours away, that's still in your own province or country, or whatever, is also very attractive. So, we definitely, once again, need to have a system in place to allow this for the future. And that brings me to the next one. Basically, in line with everything you guys are saying and what I just brought up, has technology surpassed infrastructure? That's very important to think about, because when we roll out 4G and when we're rolling out 5G, we roll it out in layers. It's not all rolled out as one and taken in as one. It roll out more bandwidth or whatever that they do over time. So 4G had its like 10 years or whatever the heck it was, right? And 5G will have that too. But like you're saying too, and that brings me to the other thing, infrastructure. Once again, we're going to have to roll out what, fiber optic cables all over the place. You got traffic to think about, all the houses in the way, all the millions of lines of trillions of God knows how much fiber optic will have to be laid about around the world. I mean, has technology reached the point now where infrastructure needs to wake up?
If I can say, I'd actually say it has technology outpaced the government, and that's 100% yes. And I think a lot of companies would be quicker to react and put up infrastructure, but a lot of the times it's the government that says, "Whoa, wait a minute." And just like the best example would be the
No.
drone technology. I mean, it's all there. They're ready to have some type of floating machines, right? But the government says, "Whoa, time out." I mean, there's regulation, and I agree with them. There's security risks.
Yeah.
There's the aviation you have to look at. The whole bunch of legal stuff you have to look at before you actually go for it. So I think a lot of the reasons why the infrastructure is not there is because of government intervention, for the good and for the bad.
So this is really really interesting, because then that means that instead of laying down all these lines and whatever, we need to almost go back to the days when telephones first started introducing themselves into the homes of doctors and you know big businesses, first of all, until it came down to us, the people. But we used to have switchboards in place, switchboards, right? So that way, the operators could, like, oh, this person, that person. So when a switchboard, but in the future, would be for redundancy.
Well, so here's the thing, right? We're there already right now. The technology exists, the infrastructure exists. There's probably 80 or 90 software-defined wide area networking companies out there in the world right now that do have technology to do the automated switching. I mean, it already exists, right? And in the cores of the telcos, they have the automated switches. They're called switches for a reason, right? Because the switchboard, right, if you shorten it down, right, there's no operator anymore. It's an automated switch, whether it's a Tech-Elec or whether it's anything else. I mean, that's outdated technology, but still. They have automated switches, and they're constantly upgrading the cores. They're looking at new technologies. They're looking at open source. They're looking at how they can change things. The wire that's in the ground already is the wire that's in the ground. People are reticent to put more in unless somebody's willing to pay for it. And that means getting out fiber to your building or getting out to new buildings that are being built. So you have to do splices and get conduits pulled up to the building, etc. That's called dark fiber without any lit services on it. So that's where you get an additional cost. But what we have right now has been reoriented over and over and over and over. That copper wire that's been sitting in the ground since the 50s, right? You're still using it.
Yeah.
The phone companies are still using it, right? They may not be using it for phones anymore. So you're getting your VDSL, your HDSL, or whatever it is over those wires. But that's really important. And then you're getting fiber to the home now, where the companies are actually laying that infrastructure down. they're laying it down in areas where it's cost effective for them to do that, meaning that, in an area where there are 1,000 homes, it makes sense to do that. In an area where there's 2, it doesn't make sense to do that because it's not cost effective. And that's where you have to come up with alternate solutions. So I would not say that infrastructure has to catch up with technology. The technology can't do anything without that infrastructure. You can't build a network without that infrastructure, and that's the existing infrastructure that's been in the ground forever and ever, and then they're constantly updating it. That's how they rebuild those networks. And if you look at something like 5G, you have 5G antennas or radios on towers, and that's what create these cells. Because of 5G, you can have larger cells, whereas with 4G, you had to have more compact and closer knit cells. So that's one of the advantages, which means it costs less to actually set those towers up, those infrastructure up, but those radios, sorry. And then thing is, once the signal hits a particular tower, it'll go down the tower, and then you do something called backhaul, which runs over the regular fiber that's in the ground back to the telco core, and then goes out the other side to wherever it needs to go. So it's not like we're passing a call from Verizon to AT&T by going from tower to tower. That's not what's happening. It's hitting the tower, it's going down, it's going through the backhaul into the telco core, and then they're passing it to AT&T on the inside, and then it goes back up to your cell phone over their tower and their radio, wherever it is. So that infrastructure that you're talking about, it's there. Without that infrastructure, there would be no network, there would be no cloud services, there would be no as a service, there would be no possibility for business continuity, there would be no possibility for software-defined wide area networking, there would be no possibility for Interact or for any of the card payment services.
But they're not using the switches because, like, look, when Interact went down, it went down.
Yeah, it went down because they chose one single service provider. It was using those switches, but they chose one single service provider, and it was on Interact to make a determination to have an alternate failover in case something goes wrong, which they ended up apparently cutting a deal with another service provider for failover. But they were on Rogers, and that's why they went down. So they relied on a single infrastructure. They didn't, again, go for something that was redundant, which would have kept them up.
Okay. Well, that's really interesting. So, Al, do you have anything to add here from the crypto space?
No, not particularly. No, I don't.
Okay, so basically, what I'm seeing to close off the show is, people, the future is going to be in infrastructure and the base of technology, even if it's all there now. I mean, I could see a massive importance in security when it comes to technology, in putting up this infrastructure, getting it, linked to the world, because we're not just talking about like where we are. This is like a worldwide thing, because once we have a digital dollar come in, you're looking at every country in the world that's going to want to trade to buy goods and services internationally is going to need a proper infrastructure. It's almost like when I was in school in the early 80s, and they were saying to invest in certain countries, invest in cement, because they're going to be putting up tons of roads there and stuff like that. Well, now it's like the technological revolution. Like, we thought that we were in the age of enlightenment. Sure, that happened, but there's just going to be a lot of the age of awareness and the age of technology is here. We're living it, and we're living right in the middle of all the changes.
Digital age.
The digital age. We thought we might have seen it, but I don't even think I think we're just seeing the beginning of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that digital age is going to rely on the infrastructure staying in place and not being disrupted. I'm talking about the technological infrastructure for communication. Yes. Right? Because without communications, it's near impossible. We're going back to horse and cart and the postman, right?
Yes.
That movie with Kevin Costner, right? So you're going back to that.
Yeah.
So and that's what slows things down. So we're at a point now where everything is accelerating dramatically, and that infrastructure is what's going to keep everything alive. It doesn't matter what the service is. Even if you're talking about crypto, you're talking about a digital dollar, you're talking about a digital currency, that is going to rely on an infrastructure, whether it is the mining infrastructure, whether it's proof of work, proof of stake, or whatever, or that mining infrastructure is going to have to communicate with other miners, other cloud-based systems. we're going to have to be able to get to wallets. We're going to have to be able to transact. And you can't do that if the entire infrastructure goes down. Now, the nice thing about crypto is that because it's decentralized completely, it doesn't matter if a chunk of the network goes down and the rest of the network is up. But if the entire thing goes down, then you're screwed, right?
Well,
So
we're all screwed if that happens.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
Well, exactly.
So might as well.
And that comes up to what you were saying in the other interviews, Sandeep. Even autonomous cars, telehealth, and everything. I mean, very big trouble. You can't be in the middle of an operation and go, oh, it's all down. No. Hold on a second. We were on with the specialist, that lives all the way in the other end of the world, and we were doing open heart surgery or brain surgery here. This cannot afford to happen. And it comes down to crypto as well. And the digital currency is going to be extremely important for transactions and autonomous vehicles. You don't want to be on one sleeping, because you set your destination a certain part, and then the whole network goes down, and your car is going at like 150 kilometers an hour or whatever, or you're on the Autobahn, right? So technology, trust, confidence, and this makes me think of like a lot of companies, like any companies that are in low Earth orbit, for satellites that are going to be playing a super importance in the future. Computer chips. Already, we're seeing a massive shortage. Companies like Qualcomm and AMD, telecommunications, Qualcomm, right? So I'm seeing that these companies in the future may have massive growth, even with the sizes that they're at now, because they're going to be playing a much bigger part in the future of our society. Remember, everybody out there, I hope you enjoyed the show. Research, prepare, plan, execute, stay strong, and on to the next show, everyone. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Betweenplays Stock Market Strategies. Hit the like and the subscribe button. Head off into our description below if you'd like to know where all of our social media links are, and also the podcast, whether it be Apple or Spotify. We will be doing interviews with CEOs, with analysts, and it's not only on the stock market itself, but also on cryptocurrencies and blockchains. We will have guest speakers. We will be doing panels. You will be able to enjoy a lot of different content. Have a great day, and always remember, research, prepare, plan, execute. Stay strong.